All right, hey traders, TG Watkins here. Let's see, we should be up and running. There we go, got the camera on too. And yeah, sorry it took me a second to get logged on. I had to fire the thing up twice for some reason. The chat box wasn't working. So now that we got that up and running, let me know. It would be great. I don't have too much to show today. There are a few things going on. Otherwise, the market continues to go sideways. We can talk about some breadth readings, and we'll kind of keep talking about the market and say, hey, which way might this be breaking out? But for right now, it kind of seems status quo and something. The market's waiting for something, so we'll just have to go around and see what that actually is for the market. But if you guys are interested in finding out more information about how I look at the markets or the Moxie indicator and any of the classes that I've put together for that, come over to simplertrading.com/Moxie. All right, so come over here, looking around at the market itself. Man, just more sideways. Now, initially, something that would concern me is that the Moxie indicator has been underneath zero like this. And that should work out to the downside. However, given what's going on in this market, I'm just going to not put anything past it. So if it decides to go up, okay, not going to be too surprised by that. But, normally, price the Moxie indicator below zero and price above the 50 should mean that price is going to come down because the Moxie indicator is below zero. Some examples of that, let me come over here and we can show you EWQ. And you can see here on the hourly chart, we've had this in a couple of situations. Here, with the Moxie indicator below zero, and then more recently here with, again, Moxie indicator below zero. And more easily, it was that price was actually underneath a downtrending hourly 50. Right now, the SPY is really just going sideways. EWQ, EWG, very, very similar. Looking at some foreign ETFs. You can see right through here, you see how price was up over the hourly 50, but notice that the Moxie indicator was below zero. So you can see that that's kind of the reason why I'm looking at that as far as the SPY goes. And then if we look at the IWM, we know this thing keeps kind of going sideways. Again, won't quite break to the downside. We have been in this range for literally 1 year, like a year. And but what I keep talking about, which seems different, is that we've been able to have the IWM go over the daily 50 with the Moxie indicator looking pretty decent the last few times. But doesn't this time look different? I mean, look, we have price actually now running into the underside of a downtrending daily 50 with the Moxie indicator now pretty flat. So, we're just going to have to see what this thing is going to do and how it's going to resolve itself. And then if we look at the Dow, we see this thing, and it's been starting to get below the daily 50. The Moxie indicator is starting to fire to the downside. We can even see we have the 8 below the 21, and we've had price following the hourly 50 to the downside with, again, the Moxie indicator below zero. So pretty crazy to be seeing what's going on over here. And then we compare that to the NASDAQ, which just keeps cruising to the upside. So I think that is a pretty good example of what we're seeing out there, that basically it is the mega caps, because you think about systemic risk. Money is coming out of the banks and banking and financial sectors, okay. Money is coming out of other defensive areas. Money is gold and GDX and gold miners. They were too extended, so they're pulling back. And so now the question is, where are things going? And I think that large institutions are probably looking around and saying, okay, what is safe? Where can we put our money? And it sure seems like right now, at least, that it's better than financials, it's better than a bank. Treasuries, as the debt ceiling default situation kind of looms overhead. And so they're like, well, what's the likelihood that Apple and Facebook and Google and Amazon and Microsoft and Nvidia are still going to be around next week or a month from now compared to some of these other areas? And so it seems to be the reason why, fighting against gravity, that the NASDAQ, especially, along with the big cap, the mega cap tech, are still holding up and trending up slightly. Even though they're very overbought, they're just still hanging up there. And I think it's because, as it turns out, they're so big that they are actually ending up being a flight to safety. as interesting as that might be. So yeah, let's see. FOMO and Thunderfin, possible UVIX and VIX futures expiration today, I believe, may change market structure and finally unpin the market. Oh, well, that'll be interesting. That's something we're just going to have to wait and see. The thing I did point out yesterday when I was on the mic with you guys, I think in the free training room, is, I mean, the VIX and the UVIX and the UVXY all look like they are ready to go up if they wanted to go up. So, yeah, I just keep looking at that and say that they're locked and loaded if they wanted to, but we have not seen anything move yet. So what I'm seeing is we could even say leg, heel, arch of the foot, ball of the foot. We had one elf toe, and you know what? We might be doing it again. You know, call that the double bottom. Maybe even call that the inverse head and shoulders situation. And basically what I'm seeing is that they're narrowing the distance between the 8 and 21 on the daily chart. So again, nothing's quite happening, but it's definitely setting up so that if it wanted to, it could. And we can see here that we've had price below the hourly 50. The Moxie indicator has been staying above 0. So, you know, that's a potentially bullish situation. And then I just put a line on here yesterday because I did notice that yesterday we did get price up over the hourly 50. Something different than what we've seen over the last few days. So I'm starting to watch that. And if we look, let me come over here to the, there we go, to the UVXY. I can get it in there and type it properly, okay? And we've been talking about this for quite some time because, again, you know, because nothing's really going on with the market, it means volatility has kind of calmed down a little bit. You know, UVXY really tends to only move when the market moves, otherwise it tends to fade. It's a perpetually declining product. One thing just to note, we are at a double bottom. We'll have to see if that means much for the UVXY. The other thing we've been kind of pointing out here is we've had a potential trampoline move on the daily time frame, and we have another potential trampoline move here on the hourly time frame. And then as the 15-minute has been going down, the Moxie indicator has been trending up. So again, feels like it's locked and loaded if it wanted to move up, but it just, nothing's triggered it yet. Nothing's triggered. Even here on the 15-minute time frame, we saw yesterday there was a little blip over the 15-minute 50, but again, nothing's holding yet. If we were to continue to watching this, I am also noticing that the Moxie indicator is starting to get a little bit tighter, and it is starting to get over 0. Whereas before, you could see only one of them got over 0, and same thing here, only one of them got over 0. Now they're both over 0. So again, it seems as though something kind of keeps inching closer and closer to happening, but hasn't happened yet. So we'll have to be probably Johnny on the spot and then see when this thing actually happens. One sudden day, it seems like. Let's see, but big volume on the UVIX. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, I've been noticing that. Maybe not today, or at least not yet. But yeah, I've been noticing here and here there have been you know, a fair amount of volume. But again, nothing has quite resulted in any significant moves or anything lasting. So, you know, for whatever reason, that is happening or going on right there. Let's see. So talking of the big mega cap, I did see that there was a move in Tesla, and who was it that we were in the Moxie room talking about this over the last few days, and there were a couple things back and forth about this. So originally we were looking at this and saying, hey, you know, prices held the hourly 50, and again, prices held the hourly 50 with the Moxie indicator above 0. However, because we still had the 8 below the 21 right in through here, I also made note that we could actually see Tesla price get below the hourly 50 for a potential trampoline move, also because the daily is in a potential trampoline move. So remember, trampoline moves are when price is below the 50, but the Moxie indicator is above 0. What that is a basically a high buoyancy type trade, you know, high buoyancy. The Moxie indicator is above 0, which means energy and momentum should be positive, and when price goes below the 50, it shouldn't be there. It's like trying to push a beach ball below water, And if it works out, then it shoots price back up. You'll release that beach ball from underneath the water, and also it's like jumping on a trampoline and having it shoot you back up. So we were kind of watching this, and yes, there's a little bit of a move. So the question I think is, now that we have price back up over the hourly 50, the Moxie indicator is above zero. In fact, it's green also. This should be the confirmation of the trampoline move. Not to mention, we do have the elf shoe here on the daily chart, and it could move up. So, I'm trying to look at all these pieces of the puzzle and say, okay, we are getting these bullish setups. How long can they last, and what are they going to look like? But so far, so good. I do, on that note, talking about these bullish setups, and we just have to see, how far they go. Let's see, computer is a little bit slow. What I want to show you guys is then IWM. We'll go back to that one, and I want to show you that there was also an elf shoe on the daily chart, but there we go. There was an elf shoe on the daily chart, and then there was a trampoline move on the hourly chart, just like we're seeing on Tesla. So this is what I'm trying to do, is connect the dots with you guys and say that just because something has a setup and is looking good does not necessarily mean it has to work. And I've just been talking about this recently, that IWM is a fairly good example of that. And what we can see is here on the daily chart, you can see leg, heel, arch of the foot, ball of the foot, and that's the beginning of the elf toe. But notice it doesn't go anywhere. It does move up just a little bit, but it basically runs into its previous high. And essentially, you could say it was running into the daily 50. It didn't actually make contact, but same. That's that kind of that principle of what's going on there. And then also remember, the ball of the foot here on the daily chart was a trampoline move here on the hourly chart, just like Tesla. And so I just want to show you that in this market, anything goes. And so even though you have a bullish setup, and it might work for a little bit, there's no guarantee that it will continue to work, and things can change. So what is it? Past performance is no guarantee of future performance, as they put on any financial thing that you look at. And I think this is a fairly good example of that, because this sure had those bullish setups, and it did work, but then it didn't go anywhere. And I just want to make sure that if Tesla ends up not going anywhere, just to show you those examples of how that's possible. Otherwise, if Tesla does go someplace, well, this is going to be a decent trade. We've got a trampoline move on the hourly chart. We've got a potential trampoline move and an elf shoe on the daily chart. So as it lays right now, it looks good. It looks bullish. But as we know, the market can change, and it doesn't necessarily have to go anywhere. All right. So then on that note, let's kind of talk about some of the internals. And let's come over here. Again, with the slow computer just a little bit, give it a second. But I wanted to show you guys some breadth readings. And we can come over here. This is the, let's see, what is this? We got the NASDAQ. I want to make sure we got that. So this is the index. Let me get my right color. There we go. And what we can see is we have had price moving up. Okay, so we all know that. But then what's happening here? The internals. The number of stocks over their 20-day have been declining. And in fact, they've been going pretty much nowhere over the last couple days. And how about the number of stocks over the 50-day? Again, declining, and then really kind of going nowhere. And then how about the 200-day? Again, declining, and then essentially not going anywhere. Another interesting thing that my coworker Sam sent me. Let me post this for you guys. There you go. Now, if this is not stark, I don't know what else is. I mean, this is really pretty crazy to see. So let me explain it. You have the advanced decline line, cumulative advanced decline in green, and then you have the index in red. So price with breadth. And you can see that for the most part, they follow each other. You might see some divergences, see how price was up here and cumulative advanced decline was down here, and so the market went down. Versus you could see here, the cumulative was up here, price was down here, and it went up. And so then we started to see this other divergence. Okay, price is up here, again, cumulative is down here. It worked out for a little bit, price started to come down, and then what happened? Complete divergence. So again, this kind of seems to go back to the beginning of what I was saying in this session, is that the mega cap FANG stocks have seemed to have become a flight to safety and are big enough, because they are big enough. I think I saw a stat that said Apple's market cap is larger than something like all of the UK, all the UK data alone, that market. So it's really crazy. I mean, to see some of the stats that I'm coming across out there is nuts. So yeah, we're looking at that. We can see that here too. And then how about this view? We can see that again, market has been moving up. Yeah, new highs. They've been persisting. They haven't really been growing, but they're there. But the other thing I've been noticing is that new lows have also been persisting. So not too much to see here. Maybe just a little bit of a drop off on new highs for the Nasdaq. I think the one that was a little bit clearer, if we come over here and look at the SPY. Again, we have been seeing new highs, or sorry, new lows really persist, and we've actually been seeing new highs fall off. So these are some things to kind of look at and be aware of, and like, oh, you know, do we think that the market's going to be able to really kind of get out of this funk? Well, it's a possibility. We have been seeing names move up. It hasn't been super easy, but there have been names moving up, and otherwise, I'll tell you, names trying to move down, somewhat challenging. Even though we've been seeing the indexes kind of all over the place. Oh, so Tesla liquidity barrier at 174. Well, that's right there. What makes you say that? Well, yeah, unless they pull a trick. Is that just because what 174 kind of got a lot of action right in through there? You got some right there, right there, right there, right there, and now we are right back on it. So, Nasir, is that kind of what you're talking about? All right. But yeah, then let's look at the FNGU. This is another one that I like to look at. This is basically the FANG stocks, and it has some Chinese equivalent of FANG stocks out there too. And the only thing I'm kind of noticing is that, at least recently, the last few times that it's gotten to the 30 ATR, it has wanted to pull back. So it seems to have be doing a pretty good ebb and flow, and it just seems like we're kind of getting to that point where we've had the flow, and we might be getting closer to the ebbing. All right. So just kind of be careful out there. Again, watching the UVXY, watching the VIX, watching the markets. Obviously, we know the SPY is not doing much, and the internals, a little bit bullish today, but they were bearish yesterday, bullish the day before. So literally, the internals are not really helping us out much. Really not helping out much. Okay, yeah, thanks, Nasir. All right, guys. Well, kind of on that note, and until we can kind of see some different things happening with the market, it's pretty tough out there. You're going to have to be just picking each particular stock, because the indexes, not really helping us out too much. Dow's down, IWM's down, SPY's neutral, Nasdaq is up, and beyond that, you got to go find the stock that is actually working. But the market is still very, very choppy and challenging. So, if you think the Moxie indicator can help based on how I show you guys and how I, interpret this and teach you with it and all that, come on over here. We've got classes, we got everything, anything you need. So here to help you guys, and we'll see you at the next one. Thanks again.